Thank you for joining us today as Fox Cried, a project supported in part by the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities and the Center for Unearthed Stories, visits the archives at the University of Minnesota.
As you know, we have archives all over the world. That's part of our work is preserving not only the oral histories, but actually the objects associated with those oral histories and myths. I'm very honored to have the access today to our archives, which are housed at the University of Minnesota in cooperation with their oral history program, and to look at some of the original. A lot of times we work with replicas in a lot of our programming, but through the generosity of Mary Blooney at the Institute, we are lucky enough today to see some of these original objects. These are from mythologies and cultures from all over the world. So we'll look a little bit about the qualities of the actual objects, as well as the challenges that are faced in preserving and keeping these objects. So thank you so much, Mary Blooney.
Thank you very much for having me. I would like us to actually have a look at the object, but I think it's very important for us to first put these gloves on, because as you mentioned, this is actually an original, and it's quite unusual for an original to be taken outside the archive, and we have to handle it very, very carefully. So if you could put your gloves on.
Sure.
Now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about this object. So this is a unique handcrafted mask that's been preserved in our archives, but it was obtained from India. It's handmade in a village in India, a particularly small community, tribal community, from the state of Bihar. And this particular mask has immense significance for some of the rituals that they carry out, particularly during spring, when the new year in their community starts, as per the lunar calendar. Okay. So we're going to look at some of this, and some of the aspects of this beautifully handcrafted mask that they use. Now, this mask was made about 85 years ago, so it's actually been in existence for a very long time. We're very careful when we take it out of the archive, because we obtained it quite a few years ago. And you might notice a few sort of little design features of this mask.
There's been a little bit of use. This was used in ritual practice.
Yes, this mask was actually used for a number of years in ritualistic practice. It is not used anymore. And the community gave it to us, especially because they want some of their traditions to be preserved and talked about, and especially shared with a worldwide audience like we're doing today. Now, this is actually not through use. This is an artistic feature of the mask. And this particular drop or colouring that you're seeing is actually from the juice that they drink during the rituals. And they usually drop one or two the first time the mask is put out for use, and it's very much a design feature, if you could call it, or part of the history of the object.
Excellent. You were telling me about some of the other design features. I'm sorry.
Yes. So
please continue. Yeah.
Some of the other design features of this mask are, for example, the two little protrusions that you see at the top of the mask. These are, one might think that they're actually trying to replicate what a bunny might look like.
Yeah.
But they're not at all meant to be representative of what a bunny might look like. These are actually technical features. They're functional features.
In what way?
Of the mask. So what happens is, when the person leading the ritual wears the mask, the person behind them has to hold these two.
Is it okay to
lift the mask? It is absolutely okay to lift the mask.
So maybe if I can hold it, you can...
Yes, so if there's a person sort of wearing the mask,
Yes.
there would usually be another person behind them who's following them and who's their sort of, not assistants, but companion on the ritual.
Okay.
And what they would be doing is they would be holding it. And this is sort of you could call it a USB port in a way that connects both the leader and the companion during the ritual.
Excellent. And sort of transmits, what sort of information would you say would be transmitted through that port?
Well, the information
USB?
that would be transmitted would be, so the lead person carrying out the ritual would be drinking, as I told you, a particular juice of a plant which has been mixed with a number of intoxicating substances. And they would be having experiences which are transmitted through these protrusions to their companion, so they could share some of those experiences. And the companion then might become a leader of the ritual.
Oh, so there's fluency in that.
There's total fluency.
In that role.
It's kind of passing on little bits of the experience and then kind of letting the companion into it, and perhaps have the potential to become a leader of the ritual in a future event.
Is that is the sort of texture and coloration that you see on the back, if we can compared to the front of the ear, is that related to that transmission, or is that just an aesthetic?
No, nothing in here is aesthetic or aesthetically related at all. All of it is intentional in a functional or a symbolic sense in terms of what's being carried out. And so this is not simply an aesthetic design feature. This is, as I said, quite functional. And so usually when someone is wearing the mask, they would actually not wear it this way front, they would be wearing it this way front, so this would be the back, and that's why I said that the companion would be holding it this way. And this is there functionally because it's soft, and it's to allow being held for a longer period of time without feeling uncomfortable.
It's an invitation of sorts.
Yeah, and the top texture is the one that allows the passing of the experiences. So this particular fabric on top has a specific purpose for passing the experience, while this is to make it comfortable for holding.
Okay, excellent. I want to make sure that we can look at a number of the objects that we have here, so I'm going to move on.
Okay.
But that is really quite interesting, and seeing the significance of these markings, which I had always... I thought they were arbitrary, and I've read actually as much, so it's fascinating for me to see the time that you spend with these objects and the sort of detail that you can hone in on.